Hello everyone. I hope you have gone through my BJ presentation video number 4 where I have discussed about the first 7 principles of management according to Henry Fayol. I already told you previously that I would be covering the next set of 7 principles, 7 more principles of management in my next video. So this is my BJ presentation video number 5. So we'll be looking into the other 7 principles. So 7 plus 7, 14. So let us see what are the next 7. So next, that is the 8th principles of management according to Henry Fayol would be stability. So you must be aware that if you have seen my previous video that we have taken the example of a bread factory. So that bread factory is going on well, achieving its target. Excuse me. So we have followed the first 7 principles, and stability is also one of the vital principle of management which has to be followed definitely. So what is this stability? You know that here I'd like to tell you one thing. A success of an organization depends on the turnover of the employees. I repeat, the success of an organization depends upon the turnover of the employees. You know that the employees should not come and go, come and go, come and go. They must stay there for a considerable period of time, at least for a fixed period of time there. What happens if some set of employees come and again they go, again they recruit, again they go? Is it stable? When you're riding the bicycle, if you have the perfect balance only, you'll be steadily riding your bicycle. If you don't balance, your stability is not there. You fell down and you end up in injuries. Similarly, it affects the organization if there is no stability. So, many of the unreputed organizations, they are not stable. You would have heard some employees telling, oh, that organization, they simply recruit, make them work for 3 or 4 months, again they check them out, again take the next set of employees. No, I don't want to join that organization, even if they call me also. That means the employees lose their confidence. They're not happy to work there. So what happens? A sense of negativity starts spreading around in the society. Do you think the organization gets a good name? Never. Ultimately, it is going to dig its own pit. If you dig your own pit, what happens? Ultimately, you are going to fall there. That's all. There's no use of digging your own pit. The end result would be just falling in the pit yourself. Stable. I'd like to bring you one more thing here. One more organization. So in Karnataka, I don't want to mention the name of the organization. So it is very much in the education industry. It has become the habit of them. I don't know why. They bring a very experienced professional, very experienced, very talented, very skillful person to head the institution. And they keep on observing. At a point of time when they feel that the institution has got its work done, whatever they expected, they simply call him and check him out. And what happens the next? An inexperienced person comes there. He just starts following it up. Only reason is they don't want to give suitable hike for the experienced personnel, which is just sheer nonsense. So as management students, please give some extra attention here. Even if you are going to give a hike, it is getting compensated by the experience of the person, of the professional who has worked for you day and night. So just don't bring some employees, make them work, and after a certain time, check them out, or create a situation in which he goes out and start coming in, bringing an inexperienced person there for a very low salary. So ultimately the organization ends up in unpopularity, and eventually, may not be immediately, it meets its fall down. So if you are not able to give, why recruit certain person? Because you are not able to get a person with enough skills who could run the institution there. That is why you have made him work harder and harder and harder till your selfish goal is achieved, and you just check him out. This is being observed in many organizations. I don't want my management students to do like this. So always bring a sense of stability. And see that you are happy, your employees are happy, organization is happy. It goes on up and up in the ladder of success. So stability, the eighth principle of management. Next, remuneration. What do you mean by remuneration? Remuneration means the salary what you give and the allowance and other things. The organization should look that the remuneration given to the employees are reasonable. Okay, at least the employees should be able to meet a minimum standard of living. If the employee is not able to meet his minimum standard of living, how can he work there peacefully? So you should see that the worker is able to meet his minimum standard of living. And the company or the organization should have the capacity to pay. So remuneration is very important. So don't make the employees suffer for a very meager salary, which does not give you success in the long run. So plan in such a way that, as my dear management students, plan in such a way that your plans are perfect so that you are able to provide the remuneration required to meet the minimum standard of living, and increase the capacity of your company to pay. So remuneration, the ninth principle of management, is also very important. And in remuneration also, when some workers do some extra work and give an extra productivity, see that they are adequately compensated so that it becomes a motivator. It motivates them to further increase their targets and contribute to the organization. So stability is over, remuneration is over. Next, order. When we are in an order, it looks very decent, pleasant, and neat. Everything should be kept in that particular place. For example, go and see the car factories. Go and see the corporates, corporate organization, how neatly kept, how peacefully kept, how beautifully maintained. Let us discuss this with a small example. A school, let us take a school, a reputed school. The principal should be seated in his cabin. The principal should not be seated in the library there. And the library book should not be kept in the principal cabin whenever it is not necessary? Can you bring all the books of the library and throw in the principal cabin? That is not order. The staff room should be close to the classes. Library should not be close to the classes, and the staff room should not be in the place of library. There is no order here. No order. So when there is an order, it becomes systematic. It helps the communication to flow properly. And it reduces unwanted time and energy going here and there, taking long rounds to one place to another place. So a reception counter should be in the reception area only. It should not be messed out with other department. Production area should be kept in the production area only. Transportation, all the transport vehicles should be kept in the transport department only. All the resources should be in the storehouse only. The canteen should be accessible to the workers only. The canteen should not be 10 kilometers away. What is the use? No. So, order. When everything is kept in order, it helps the workers to do their work comfortably, and it minimizes the time and helps to achieve the target efficiently. Next, initiative. What is this initiative? Now you know that all the human beings have some sort of skills or other. An organization should identify the skills of the workers. Sometimes the workers are more intelligent of innovating. Initiative. For example, in a bread factory, a group of workers come forward and inform the management, "Sir, we are producing only plain bread. Why don't we add a little bit of flavor, which definitely will help us to increase our minimum hike in price, and finally it helps the organization." Give them a chance, no? You can't, just because if you are a superior, you can't tell them that, no, it cannot be done. Go according to the plan. No, that is not the way. Allow them. Accept their suggestions. Accept the suggestions and try and test it. If it is workable, why don't we proceed? Of course, they are also a part of the organization. Keep some suggestion and feedback boxes in your organization where the workers may put in their feedback and suggestions, feedbacks and suggestions, and that can be discussed and suitably implemented if necessary. So initiative. Now say for example, bread factory. Workers are giving out excellent records of production, and they are having a feedback or suggestion. They are dropping their suggestion in the suggestion box that why don't we have an employee recognition program if we achieve the set target. Valuable suggestion. Yes, you can plan out that one. So that is going to be a motivator, encouragement, so that the employees are happy and they start moving on, they enjoy the work and start doing their work perfectly. And of course, the ladder of success of the organization is going to go up. So, initiative. Initiative is also one of the important thing. Management students always try to identify the hidden skills of the worker. That's why schools, they send circulars to the students who are interested in singing, who are interested in dancing, who are interested in the literary activity, who are interested in the poetry club. Why? When they get the data, they're able to identify the hidden skills there, and from that they are going to take up to the next level. Similarly, the organization also should have a mechanism to find out the hidden skills of the workers and encourage them suitably and make them do the work, bring out the initiative and see that it contributes to the goal of the organization. Subordination of individual interest to general interest. Subordination of individual interest to organization interest, general interest. What is this? See, it is quite natural. Employees want to do the least work and get the best remuneration. Organization want to get the maximum work and pay them adequately. So, see that the individual interest and the general interest are compared properly and suitable subordination is present there. Suppose, for example, in a bread factory, the workers are coming and informing the management that they are going to work from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's all. 5 days. Saturday, Sunday, complete holiday. But they are going to work 1 hour extra in all the other days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 5 hours of extra work they are going to do. But Saturday and Sunday they want to go on leave. So this is the interest of the workers. But the organization has already processed and planned and decided on several meetings that everybody should work from Monday to Saturday. Sunday is a holiday. Sunday is a holiday. Holiday should be a holiday. So, when the organization has set the plan like this, they cannot accept the individual's interest. At the same time, do not discourage by telling them that, blindly telling them, no, just get lost. Remember that employees or workers are also human beings. Let me bring a small example here. In an unreputed school, a teacher is coming to the cabin of the supervisor, and telling that, sir, all the other rooms are being cleaned. For our room, the housekeeping is not coming and cleaning the room. What should the supervisor tell? The supervisor should tell that, yes, I look into it and see that you're comfortable with that, with your need. Instead of saying that, he blindly the supervisor tells the staff that, go to the bazaar and get a broom and start cleaning yourself. Is it the way to tell? Is it the way to tell the worker, tell the teacher? It is simply nonsensical thinking. The supervisor has kept something in his mind and is expressing it in this way. That is a fact here. So that should not be the thing. So the individual interest here in this situation is he wants to keep his room clean. It's good for the organization. Somebody comes for an inspection. When it is clean, it is good. So individual interest has to be taken in this context. It is helpful also. We have to analyze and find out whether individual interest has to be subordinated or general interest has to be subordinated and adequately balanced. So this is the next one. Next, esprit de corps. What is this esprit de corps? You know that whether the employees are there, whether superiors are there, whether the chairman is there, whether the managing director is there, whether the section heads are there, everybody belongs to the same family of the organization. That feeling should be there in each and every person working for the organization. Every time the organization should address we, not I. They should create a feeling that we are a family, let us work together. They should never address that I am. Don't use the word I. I will do that. Instead of that, tell we will do that. For example, the office clerk is coming and telling that the printer is not working. He should not tell that I will do it. Let we will do it. So when we use the word we instead of I, it gives a special feeling among the mind of the worker, and the employee is ultimately motivated, and his goals, he contributes happily. So esprit de corps. Esprit de corps means all the departments, the whole organization should coordinate and see that there is no ill feeling among them. It is a duty of the superiors. You know that in every organization there are people making politics. Never allow politics or gossip. Unwanted gossips should be immediately stopped in any organization. Unwanted politics should be immediately stopped. And very clear information has to flow from the management that the management will never tolerate gossips or politics. So these two are going to spoil the organization, and you are going to lose the talented workers unwantedly, unnecessarily. Unnecessarily, you are going to lose the talent of the workers. So never allow this to happen. See that esprit de corps, the sense of peacefulness is there, and happiness presents throughout the organization. You know that many organization workers do work with lot of stress. So what the corporates, what the organization do, they allot some few hours, especially for the workers. They make them come to a common platform. They make them sing, dance, exchange their views, interact with other departments, and make them explain their worries, bring their family members to the common platform, so that a sense of enjoyment is there. The employees are happy, you're happy, you are able to achieve the goals. Next, the last one, equity. Everybody should be treated equal. So here I don't mean to tell that an employee is not equal to a managing director or a chairman. That is not the sense here. You know that workers belong to different religion, different caste, different creed, and so on. So you should not you should not bring the different sense of differentiation among the workers. If you belong to the northern India, well, you will have this type of benefits. You belong to South India, you have this sort of benefit. You belong to East India, no, everybody are human beings. Treat them equally. When you treat them equally, they have a sense of brotherhoodness to join together and work together, and the workforce becomes an effective workforce. If you start, for example, if there are some foreigners working in an organization, don't start showing the difference between a foreigner and an Indian. Of course, both are working for the organization. So, as per the agreement, treat them fairly. Treat them fairly. In case you want to show the difference, you should mention during the time of employment itself. Make it very clear. Foreign nationals will have this benefits. Indian nationals will have this benefits. So, and give a copy to them so that they understand their mindset. All of a sudden, don't start showing differences. Now, let me show a small example here. In an organization, the top management announced that suitable awards will be given to people who achieve the set target. So, suppose, for example, our bread making unit and bun making unit, both have achieved the target. If you start honoring by putting shawls on the unit of bread making unit, you just ignore the bun workers involved in the bun unit. So you are showing the clear discrimination. You know that partiality is the main pillar which brings the organization down. Do not, my dear management students, do not bring in the partiality factor. If you start showing partiality, then you may be thinking that you're showing your soft corner, but ultimately you are going to be targeted by the other group. So treat your workers as equal. Equity should be there. You should be just and fair to all the sections of the workers. Give them their, if they deserve, give them. If they don't deserve, explain them. Not simply check them out. Explain them, talk to them. Suppose if it is an extreme case where several number of attempts, you have made several number of attempts to bring him to track, then just take him or remove away. A rotten apple spoils other apple. So if it has become rotten, don't try to make him rotten. If at a stage, if you feel that it is a rotten case, just take him away from the organization. That gives a signal to other workers that they should be careful. So this is equity. So let me rewind again. Stability, remuneration, order, initiative, subordination of individual interest to general interest, esprit de corps, and equity. So I have covered all these 7. In the previous BJ presentation video 4, I have covered the first 7 principles, and here I have covered the next set of 7 principles, and here I end the topic principles of management. A part of principles of the whole topic is not over. In that principles of management, I have taken only to explain the principles of management. There are other sections of the chapter that we'll see later. So I hope the concept is very clear. I made it much simpler, and I hope, my dear management students, many of you would be entrepreneurs in your future. Please follow these principles of management. If possible, write these principles of management in the diary and check whether you're following it or not. And make your workers, employees happy, and you be happy. Bring the organization to higher heights. And with this, I'll close my explanation about these principles of management. As usual, please subscribe and like and pass on your comments. If necessary, it will be considered. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.